Hello, everyone, and welcome to Breathe Motivation. My name's Anthony Hester. I'm the host for this show. So glad to join you guys. I know it's been a long time. I think the end of April. Gotten a couple of messages here and there, but I've had a lot of stuff, great stuff going on. You know, I've recently, well, not recently, my wife and I are expecting for our first time. So we're going to have our first baby, which is exciting. So I've been focused on that, kind of nesting and getting ready and resting my mind and brain and getting ready at the house and all that good stuff. So I spent a lot of time there. So he's due soon in August. So excited for that. And then, you know, I've got my new position. But anyway, that's what I've been up to. I've got a lot of stuff going on. And, you know, one of the things we always talk about is priorities. And I love doing this. And I'm so glad to be back on here. So let's get into it. You know, I just wanted to let you guys know where I've been and kind of catch you up because there's a lot going on. But I love Breathe Motivation. I love this, and I'll continue to do it. I got a few messages of, you know, hey, when's the next episode coming out? You know, I love hearing feedback about how this show has impacted you in a positive way or any way I can help. You know, I really enjoy seeing that. And this is like, you know, my first baby. I love it. You know, as far as the show and being able to share, you know, my experiences and share others, you know, kind of perspectives of life and helping you guys out with, you know, anxiety, stress, confidence, whatever that looks like. You know, I'm glad that I'm able to do that. So I wanted to jump back on here. And, you know, like I said, I want to build some more consistency with this because it does, you know, this is kind of like a great outlet, I think a positive outlet to be able to not only help myself, but help other people. You know, I always joke around about this podcast really being kind of like instead of it being called Breathe Motivation, I could call it a journal to myself, because a lot of the things that I talk to, I've either gone through or, you know, I'm going through or, you know, just, you know, these ideas out in my head, but it's things that, you know, relate to my life that I think have helped a lot of people. And, you know, maybe you don't have a source or things to talk about. So I want this to be a spot for you guys to find positivity. And that was my goal from when I started, was to help you guys find passion and purpose in everyday life. So let's get started with today's episode. I think it's really kind of a great episode of course, I'm going to think it's a great episode. I'm creating it, right? But at the end of the day, you know, I think it's very important for us to really hone in on the power that we have within ourselves as individuals. Now, a lot of the times, you know, you kind of think of being selfish. You know, that's the first thing I used to think was, you know, when I start to focus on myself or the things going on in life, I start to think of those things as just being, you know, selfish, or, you know, I'm spending so much time on myself. Like, how can I focus on anything else? There's got to be a balance. But at the end of the day, you know, you've got to be able to preserve your mind. You've got to be able to preserve your health, your mind, your body, right? Those things are very important for you to find success, because guess what? If you're not running well, there's not really anywhere else to go, right? You can't support your family. You can't do these things because you've got to be able to take care of yourself. So it's not selfish. It's self-awareness that I think will really help you. But one of the things that, you know, kind of hit me, you know, over the last several weeks was, and I come back to this because life is a bunch of cycles. And until you really kind of figure out the cycle that you're on, you know, it's very hard to get to where you want to be. And, you know, that comes with, you know, with me, with anxiety and panic attacks, I have to kind of find that cycle. You know, I start to see those patterns and I have to kind of change those patterns. I have to change those thought processes. And I think that's important with a lot of the behaviors that we have in our life, because our behaviors and habits kind of dictate where we are and what we're doing. So you've got to be very, very aware of what's going on in your life. And, you know, it took me, you know, I'm 31 going on 32, and it's taken me a long time to kind of figure this stuff out. And, you know, this weekend I was kind of like, man, I'm pretty proud of myself with, you know, some of the conversations that I've had with people, because I was very afraid to kind of step up and say the things that I always felt, or, you know, and in a positive way. You know, how can you spin these things to make other people feel good about what you're saying and all that stuff too. But let me talk about this. It's the idea of power, right? Your power that you have on a day-to-day basis. You only have so much energy throughout the day. You only have so much things that you can do throughout the day, right? We all have the same 24 hours a day. It's a matter of what you do with it. But I think a lot of the times we're giving away our power of having that rejuvenation and that energy every day. Like, right. You know, you've been in those situations where maybe you've had a bad job and you don't enjoy doing it, but you're giving so much power and energy to this job, to the people that you don't even like, or, you know, your boss, or however that looks, and you're not enjoying it. And a lot of the times we'll stay stagnant in those positions because we're afraid to move on. We're afraid to go look for something else because, maybe, hey, you don't have that self-confidence, that esteem, or that self-worth. Maybe you're lagging in that right now. But just be rest assured that you can move forward and find that again. One of the things that I look at is, a lot of the times the power that we give to other people, right? There's a lot of things that we give to people, that it's not even our it's not even our job to really carry, right? It's not our job to carry other people's feelings. At the end of the day, the only thing that you can control is yourself, right? You can control your mind, you can control your emotions, you control your reactions, your thoughts, however that looks like, right? And those all probably sound the same, right? Your feelings, all that good stuff, right? You have 100% control over that. And it all comes down to how you put your mind to it, right? Because a lot of the times when I look at it, when I was younger, I would always give all this attention to people that maybe didn't matter, or I gave all these thoughts to you know and same thing when I go through my stress and anxiety cycles. That's one of those things I'm always worried about. What other people think? What if I had said this better? All these different things that don't even matter in the long run. There's so many things that we worry about, and that's one of those things. I was a huge warrior, and as you go through those things, you're kind of like, man, you start to lose all this energy. You start to kind of feeling stressed. You start to feeling depressed, and you can get really caught up in this negativity cycle. And I want you guys to be aware of that. And that's what I wanted to talk about, getting your power back, because a lot of the times we're giving too much power to other people, or to other things that really don't matter. And maybe it's not that they don't matter, but maybe there's a different way to look at it and not take some things so personally, right? Because that was one of my biggest things that I had a problem with, was taking so many things so personal. A lot of the times when people are kind of, what I call is like almost I don't know if the right term is mirroring, but basically, or they're projecting, right? They're projecting their feelings on you. So those people inside of themselves aren't feeling well. They're not happy. They're, maybe, they've had traumatic experiences. Maybe, they don't have confidence and esteem and self-worth, self-esteem, self-worth, and they project that onto you. Maybe they're envious or jealous of things that are going on in your life, and it's just not going for them. And a lot of the times we hold on to that. We carry that as baggage. And that's one of the things that you've got to look at and say, hey, realistically, is this person that's kind of projecting their ideas on me? Is that me, or is that them talking about themselves? And you've got to be aware of that. And it took me a long time to really kind of understand that. A lot of the times those things that are coming out of people's mouths really aren't about me. It's about them and how they're feeling. So you've got to be able to kind of, deflect it, kind of swat it away from you, because that is going to be one of those cycles that, creates that negativity for you. So you've got to be able to look at things positively and be able to say, hey, I look at, kind of, I used to, in conversations, I would say, hey, this conversation went this way. What could I have said different? What can I do different next time when this person calls me and like yells at me, right? Or what should I say, right? So you're kind of like planning this conversation in your head that, things may never change, and they could possibly change, but it's going to take a while. But it's not on you to really kind of have that, once you have that conversation, don't think about that conversation. As long as you're being tactful, and as long as you're being, your genuine self, that's what matters. Don't take things so personal. And if that's one lesson I could have learned way earlier, I wish that was the lesson I learned, right? I don't try to live with regrets, but that's one thing that I always feel like, if I was able to not take things so personal, maybe I would be in a different position, right? Or, but you learn, you grow, you gain a lot of these things out of it, but you can only control what you can control. And I know, that was one of my things when people used to tell me that. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever, right? But it's so true. You can only control what you can control. And the only thing that you can control is yourself, right? Your thoughts, your feelings, your reactions to how people speak to you, all of those things. You've got to be able to take that into thought and control and take responsibility of yourself. I had a conversation with some friends last week, and they were talking about all these things that are against them, right? Their boss, their mom, their dad, their siblings. I don't know. You can name it, right? You have this whole list of things that are against you, right? And you think you can't get anywhere. But a lot of the times it's us having to assume the responsibility that we are responsible for where we are, right? It's not anybody else's, right? It's so easy for the society is kind of a blame society, is how I see it. And that's just my opinion. But we always are blaming somebody else for not being where we want to be. And guess what? You have no power in that situation. You're totally giving control to an outward situation of your boss, your family, your, I don't know, your money, your money situation. You're always blaming something, and you've got to stop blaming other people for your problems, right? You've got to be able to take responsibilities and take responsibility for those decisions that you made. Maybe you made some terrible decisions in your life, but at the end of the day, guess what? You have the option to correct that or continue on that same cycle, because that is a cycle. You continue to blame other people for things that are going on in your life when you have full control over what goes on within you. So you've got to be able to get in the mindset of you have 100% control over yourself and yourself only, right? The things, the decisions you make, the feelings that you give out, the reactions that you give to other people and what they say to you. You've got to be very careful and be very aware of your thought process, because as you get into I don't know, for whatever reason, it's so much easier to be, kind of attached to negativity, and I have no clue why. It's such, you get so caught up, and it's so easy to reflect towards negativity. I look at that all the time. Like it's so much better to kind of be in that gossip or, and that chisme, as they say in Spanish, right? You get so caught up in that, and it's so good for the moment, it feels good to be able to talk about that or talk about the problems that you have, but you've got to be very aware of how much you surround yourself with. It gets down to sometimes where I'm reading the news on the internet. I've got to step away because it starts dragging me down. And you want to stay focused on the positivity in your life, because that's what's going to fulfill you. It's not the negativity that, talking or judging people, because at the end of the day, you wouldn't want to be judged or talked about as well. So you've got to be very aware of what's coming out of your mouth, because that is what's going to create your reality within. If it's always negativity, guess what? You're probably going to feel pretty negative inside. And if you're able to reflect positivity towards other people and towards yourself, and you give yourself love and you give other people love, guess what? It feels so much better, and it fulfills you inside. It creates that happiness within you. You find that purpose within you to be able to move forward instead of focusing on so many negative things, but stop beating yourself up. Right. So that's one of those things that I struggle with. I was always beating myself up, that talk track in my head. I was always like, what could I have done better? What can I have done here? I was always thinking about all this stuff and putting all this energy into stuff that didn't matter at the end of the day, because it wasn't going to affect me any better moving forward. So stop giving your power away. Start looking at all the things that you can do within your life, and know that, hey, I've got the power within me to be able to control me. Your responsibilities, obviously, if you're married and you're in relationships and all that stuff, obviously there's kind of a balance that you have to have. But again, that responsibility is on the other person, not yourself. You can't control somebody else's happiness. Now, you can control on how you grow and how you present things to them to get better. But at the end of the day, you've got to be able to be aware of yourself, who you are, what you can do, and just watch what you do. Watch those cycles. If you're continually stuck in a cycle, man, it sucks. I've been in it, right? You can tell yourself a million things to try to get out of that cycle, but you've got to be able to sit down, take responsibility for your actions, your thoughts, your feelings, your reactions. And guess what? Things will get better. I promise they will. You've got to stop blaming, right? This is not, from today, stop blaming others for the situations you're in. Start to look at the decisions you've made in the past that have led to where you're at now, and start taking more positive changes and making positive decisions for your life. The more that you blame your parent, the more that you blame your boss, the more that you blame other outside factors, the longer it's going to be that you're in that cycle. So stop doing it. I promise you'll find greatness within yourself when you start to think of all the positive things that you're bringing to this world, with the love and the positivity that you're bringing to yourself and others. It feels so much better. I promise you. And it took me years to learn that. And this weekend was like an opening for me to say, man, all the things that I've been researching and learning have really helped me out, because this could have totally threw me down another path. So just be aware of those cycles. Be aware of your power. You have so much power within you. Stop giving it to other people. Enjoy your life. Help others enjoy their lives just by being the great you that you can be, right? If you can control yourself, you can control where you're at. Guess what? That radiates into your personal relationships, your work relationships, your work, just in general. So continue to do that. But let me leave with a quote. This is my story, my book. I will no longer let anyone else write it, nor will I apologize for the edits I make. That's by Dr. Steve Maraboli. And if I pronounce that wrong, I'm sorry. But at the end of the day, start focus on yourself. Look at the power that you have within yourself and stay focused on you. At the end of the day, that's the only thing you can control. Control the controllables and your life will be great. So follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Breathe Motivate. Like my page on Facebook, Breathe Motivation. Check out the website, breathemotivation.com. And as always, I love hearing from you guys. If you want to email me at anthony@breathemotivation.com, you guys want to message me on any social media platform, I think even my phone number, if you want to text me, you can text me. It's on Facebook. So my phone number is there for you. You guys can feel free to reach out to me if you guys ever need anything. I was able to give somebody some resources on anxiety books and all that good stuff a couple weeks ago. So if you want that and you need that, or you just need to reach out and talk to somebody, I'm here for you. So feel free to do that. And as always, remember to breathe motivation and exhale success. And I'll see you soon. Thanks.